Free credit scorecard today, even if you're not a Discover customer. Include your FICA credit score. Go to discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply. Good stuff. Doug Gottlieb and I played tennis yesterday. I'm not going to divulge the outcome, even though it's very beneficial to me.
Okay.
And joining us now via the Coward Global Satellite Network. I don't think either one of us is going to make the Australian Open anytime soon. We're not playing enough.
No, but you won. You won. Colin won. You know, you're much better than me at this point in time. It's very much the preseason, though. We're like if the Lakers and the Clippers got now and played. That's what I would equate it to.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so let's start with this. Everybody now says, Michael says, I wanted to come back for one more year. Give me a 7th championship. And I'm like, I don't know. They look pretty offensively challenged, Doug. What do you make of the claims that they could have come back and won a 7th?
I thought Phil Jackson, who didn't have a ton of input on the documentary, I thought he put it well. It was time to go. It just was. Let's get the context of the time. Yes, there was a lot caused a 50-game season. Okay. So maybe Jordan could have gotten healthy by then, and maybe Scottie could have been healthy by then. But Dennis Rodman barely played in the NBA after that.
Yeah.
He was never really the same. Scottie Pippen was never really the same. And you saw how hard it was for Jordan and the Bulls at 6th championship. The idea that a 7th was possible? Sure. Was it likely? No. This is one of those, are you somebody who leaves a party 15 minutes early or 15 minutes late? And, I think they left it 15 minutes early. Look, Jordan thinks to this day, if he got in shape, he could play in the NBA. Jordan never thinks he would lose. So let's not take his word for it, whether they could have afforded it. The reality was there did need to be an overhaul of the roster. Whether it needed to be a complete rebuild or not, I don't agree with that idea. But I like that it came out that Phil was offered an additional year of contract. I like that it came out that Jordan said, yeah, I would have come back. I don't understand why they didn't get everybody in the room and try and do it all at once. That part is a flaw if they really wanted to make it happen. But I don't think it was a strong likelihood they would have done it again. The fact that they did have Michael Jordan, and they would have likely had Phil Jackson if they could have run it back.
All right, so Scottie Pippen, who I covered in Portland, I thought he was a good guy, and I thought he played hurt a lot. He played hard, and he played hurt a lot when I was in Portland. He was on the floor a lot. He and Barkley didn't get along, but I think Scottie was a better practice player and was a little bit more driven. Charles was just more talented, and they just oil and water. It didn't work. But he doesn't like the way he's being viewed in this documentary. He thinks it's unfair. What say you?
I mean, the thing hurting Scottie Pippen is Scottie Pippen in this documentary. When he didn't go in against the Knicks because the play was run for Tony Kukoc, all he had to say was, hey, man, 26 years later, I wish I had gone in the game, and I'm so happy that Tony Kukoc made the shot. He wouldn't say it. He wouldn't say it. Instead, he gave the whole, I wish it never happened. But if it happened again, I would do it again. Those are your words. They're not anybody else's words. I thought they tried to paint him as a sympathetic figure about the contract early on when it was his decision to sign that contract. Okay. And they didn't paint a clear picture. Jordan was massively underpaid until the last 2 years of his deal when he signed those two, $30+ million deals, right? With the exception of that, Jordan was wildly underpaid because that was the time. Don't forget, Magic Johnson signed a 25-year, $5 million deal. Guys signed up for longevity. Guys signed up for security. That's what Scottie Pippen. They painted him as a sympathetic figure early, and late they painted him as a warrior, playing through injury, playing hurt, back locked up, just went and gutted out. This wasn't the director. This wasn't Michael Jordan. The only part that paints Scottie Pippen in a negative light is Pippen. And sometimes you have to live with it. He was a great player. He was never the second best player in the NBA. Never. Okay. But he was probably the best second player in the history of the NBA. He just fit. He got it. He understood it. He was never a true leader, but he was a great attaché. It's like a great vice president. Doesn't always make president, but man, that guy's a great number 2.
So executives today are saying, and I think players like to win, so they could play with Michael today. Guys like to win. It's why NBA guys move to cities and take less money because they want to win. They want to be playing May and June, and so do their shoe companies. They want them playing May and June. People say, though, Kevin Durant couldn't have played with him. Very sensitive guy. Mike's brutal. Do you buy that?
I agree with the premise that some would say it would be hard for some to play with Michael Jordan because he challenged guys, because he practiced so hard, because he was so driven, and because he was unquestionably the alpha. Look, Kobe Bryant struggled to get free agents to sign with him. Granted, again, the context is important. Kobe Bryant never wanted to be number 2, neither did Michael Jordan, but Kobe Bryant's skills diminished at a certain point where he had to be a number 2. That would have been if Michael Jordan held on for 3 years. As for Kevin, I disagree. Look, Kevin Durant's issues are with leaking things to the reporters. Kevin Durant's issues are with guys, what he thinks are turning on him. Kevin Durant's a ball guy. He also, at least this is what he believes, the reason he goes back at people on Twitter is because that's how he is with his buddies. They go back and forth. They talk trash to each other. And that's perfect for Michael Jordan. Now, I don't know how he would have fit in terms of the confines of an offense and fit in terms of the coaching style of Phil Jackson. But I do think there are a certain number of players that would have worked. It's finding the right mix. And that really is maybe the best part that came from the last episode is even Scottie Pippen, as much as he despised Jerry Krause and how Jerry Krause acted at, he admitted, look, Jerry Krause might be the best GM of all time. I would say it was Jerry West, your previous guest. But the idea that Jerry West figured out what type of personalities, what type of players could not only play for Phil Jackson and could play in the pressure of the NBA Finals, but could play alongside Michael Jordan. There's like a psychological test that he had to run, and he found the right mix of guys. And I think you could find the right mix of guys if you had him, if he was empowered. Would it be everybody in the league? No. And also keep in mind, one of the echoers of this sentiment is Channing Frye. Now, look, Channing Frye obviously enjoyed his experience playing with LeBron James, but Kyrie Irving didn't. Okay. And, oh, yeah, by the way, Kawhi Leonard had a chance to play with LeBron James, didn't want to. Paul George didn't want to. How many guys have we seen had the opportunity to go to LA and decided not to? It's not easy. And the big thing that I don't know if anyone said, so you can credit me with it if you'd like, or you can take it for your own, is when Jordan lost, and he obviously never lost in the finals, but he lost to the Magic, and he lost to the Pistons previously. When he lost, it was about Michael Jordan's failures, whether it's Michael Jordan failing to trust his teammates or the coaches failing to put Michael Jordan in position. When LeBron has lost, remember, with the exception of the Maverick series, which I actually don't think was as much his fault as it's being made out to be, when LeBron's lost, it's always somebody else's fault. His teammates didn't step up. His teammates were, Kyrie was hurt. Well, Kyrie left, or, Kyrie and Kevin Love were hurt. And again, those are accurate statements. But when Jordan lost, it was about Jordan. He accepted responsibility. When LeBron lost, he wouldn't personally say it, but others would echo it. Hey, LeBron did all he could. So I do think that we're looking through it through an unfair lens of someone like Channing Frye, who loved playing with LeBron James and got it, and taking his word for it when he never experienced playing for Jordan and all he knows is watching through a documentary isn't an accurate portrayal. So
there's a poll that came out. 73% of people said Michael's better than LeBron. Does that surprise you at all?
No. I've always been a Jordan is the best player I've ever seen guy, that Jordan was a guy that you knew was coming and there's nothing you could do to stop it. Case in point, Game 6, NBA Finals, 1998. Jazz knew it was coming. There's nothing they could do to stop it. On the other hand, you and I spoke in this very same setting before the document. Did you really think he was going to have creative control over a documentary that didn't paint him as the greatest player ever? Right? Like, who does that? Let's do a doc, okay, about your last year, but at the end, we're going to leave some ambiguity as to how great you were all time in comparison to everybody else, right? And that's not the way it works. So, not surprising. We do, on the other hand, we're these curious creatures where the last thing we see is the most impressive thing we see. And it sucks for LeBron because he was having a marvelous season. He was leading the Lakers. They had just beaten the Bucks. They had just beaten the Clippers. And if this was properly timed out, it would have been a better debate. Now it feels like there's no debate. Maybe we'll see if LeBron can take the Lakers in a NBA shortened season and win an NBA asterisk. I'm not surprised. I think he's wired differently. I think he's probably a better all-around man. But I think that Michael Jordan's the greatest player ever, and the timing of the documentary and everybody watching it and the painting of the documentary makes it so that it's really hard to find any way to put LeBron at this point in time ahead of Michael Jordan.
Yeah, good stuff. It'd be interesting. Joy mentioned it earlier. What if the playoffs were